Food is one of the most important things you'll ever buy. And yet most people never bother to think about their food and where it comes from. People spend a lot more time worrying about what kind of blue jeans to wear, what kind of video games to play, what kind of computers to buy. A video clip of a bloodied passenger being forcibly removed from a United Airlines flight to make room for airline staff turned into a PR disaster. People used social media to complain that United should be beating the competition, not customers. United's boss, Oscar Munoz, apologized, eventually. New York, North Carolina, and Iowa were some of the intended destinations of canceled flights that were supposed to leave from Southern California. Those areas are in the path of a winter storm that covered some neighborhoods with over a foot of snow and drenched others with freezing rain on Monday. Current research models indicate that climate change associated with increasing levels of greenhouse gases is likely to lead to the soils in the interiors of the major continents drying out. In response to a drying of cropland, people are likely to seek either new sources of irrigation water or new, wetter areas to farm. IT may well change the way you live, yet again. Welcome to the world of mobile commerce, where your handheld device, a mobile phone, a personal digital assistant PDA or any other wireless application will soon be used for commercial transactions. Skeptical? In 1861, Matthew Brady, a well-known portrait photographer, approached President Lincoln requesting permission to move freely about the country photographing the Civil War. Lincoln granted him permission to travel anywhere with the Union armies, and his record of this conflict brought home to millions the horrors of war. Relatively soon, some prominent astrobiologists say, we will most likely have either found compelling evidence for extraterrestrial life or banished its possible existence to the ever-shrinking edges of the cosmos beyond the rapidly expanding reach of our observations. Relish the fall colors while you can. Scientists think that the rich reds, oranges and yellows of fall may be one of the many casualties of global warming. Leaves change color in part because of cues taken from dropping temperatures. As temperatures remain warmer through fall and winter nights, they could delay the beloved fall color shift. The grid-based infrastructure enables large-scale scientific applications to be run on distributed resources. However, in practice, grid resources are not very easy to use for the end users who have to learn how to generate security credentials. There is an imminent need to provide transparent access to these resources so that the end users are shielded from the complicated details. The term supernova was coined in the 1930s by a Memogliob astrophysicist named Fritz Zwicky. Born in Bulgaria and raised in Switzerland, Zwicky came to the California Institute of Technology in the 1920s and there as once distinguished himself by his abrasive personality and erratic talents. New research shows that during the global financial crisis, workers who stayed in the jobs did not reduce their working hours, despite claims that cuts in hours have to prevent job losses. The study found that life of people who remained same employers stayed relatively unchanged. So why not switch on those interferons 24/7 in humans? Well, in us, they also tend to cause lots of inflammation and cell damage. Like the symptoms you feel from the flu, a lot of that is your immune system's fault. But the key might be to do as the bats do. If we can just skew the response of our immune system so it triggers an antiviral response without the pro-inflammatory effects. In medicine, the application of information technology means the digitalization of medical records and the establishment of an intelligent network for sharing those records. Other benefits flow from these technological changes. In the past, medicine has taken the paternalistic stance, with the all-knowing physician dispensing wisdom. Smoke from Australia's Black Summer bushfires of 2019 to 2020, which burnt through 18 million hectares of land, produced the phytoplankton bloom larger than the entire country of Australia located in the Southern Ocean. The stratosphere is the next layer up from Earth's surface. Temperatures in the stratosphere increase with altitude. A high concentration of ozone, a molecule composed of 3 atoms of oxygen, makes up the ozone layer of the stratosphere. This ozone absorbs some of the incoming solar radiation, shielding life on Earth from potentially harmful ultraviolet light. The advantage of the great European and American orchestras is that they were able to establish their iconic status in an age when their identity could become entrenched. There was less competition and it was easier to create a brand. Not only did they have the best halls, they attracted the best musicians, who tended to stay put. Despite the fact that every woman goes through menopause, there's not enough research, Anna says. Our scientific understanding of menopause is vastly limited due to the lack of data. Menopausal changes are correlated with women's cardiovascular, cognitive, and overall health, so a database will allow us to better understand these connections. Locals in central Finland are campaigning to have reindeer corralled all year round in a dispute with traditional herders. In what's been described as a reindeer rebellion, people living in north regions want tighter restrictions on herding, because they say that the free-range animals are damaging their crops and forests and harming their livelihoods. The Better Government Plan is based on the assumption that government has a positive role to play in improving people's lives but could perform this function far more effectively than it does now. What distinguishes the Better Government Plan from the other two is that instead of changing the size of government, the ice house structures, of which four still remain intact, are located south of Salton Column. These large, conically domed earthen structures would have had sheets of ice built up on the ground level over the course of the winter to provide year-round ice supplies.